Good morning to everybody. So coming from the States, the Free States, I went and I bought some airtime this morning for all of the English that I will require, and I hope it lasts throughout this presentation. So although Elena introduced me, I just have to note that I didn't do this study and compile the report on my own. Dr. Hermias, or like many of you would know him, Walter van Niekerk also helped. And then, of course, Prof. Jonas Bata helped us a lot. And like Helena said, the idea of this project was to go and look into what is the actual cost of FMD in our country. And we used a few scenarios to investigate it. So if you look at FMD, I'm sure since all of you are role players in the red meat industry, or you have some interest in it in any case, FMD that isn't only an animal disease. It doesn't stop only at farm level or abattoir level. It has ripple effects. So you have an outbreak on a farm, you and your neighbor, you get placed under quarantine, you're not allowed to market. At that time when the study started, vaccines were not freely available. We were still struggling. Yes, we're still struggling, but at least it's going better at this stage. And if the outbreak happened in a feedlot like we saw last year was a peak in, I want to say, the problems with FMD. And that was also when this project was approved. So, and all of those restrictions, it disrupts the value chain. And the disruptions then have ripple effects that spill over. So the idea of our study was then to go and look at what's the downstream implications of FMD and all of the different spillover effects that it could have throughout the value chain. So the question, since we are talking to industry today, is not how many animals we've infected, it's how far do the economic disruptions travel? Or in other words, you can also say, what is the actual cost to the economy of FMD? So why is it needed that we look at FMD in sense of the whole, the greater economy? We've seen that we've had outbreaks in all 9 provinces of SA over the past 12 months. And it's not only feedlots that's affected, it's going through to abattoirs, and we will talk about feedlots and abattoirs, the specific problems that they experience and how large the effect was on them. Then we also lost some export opportunities. And then also we saw that a lot of auctions were cancelled and or postponed at least. And then if you look at the larger economy, remember, if we don't have animals to sell, if they get sold at a later stage, it's income that's being lost, it's job opportunities that are threatened, and it boils down to households' income and spending that are affected. Like many problems, if you don't know what the actual size of the problem is, you don't know where to allocate your resources that you have in order to combat or try and prevent this problem. So that's part of the reason, part of the motivation for this study. Then the idea is also, if we have these resources to control this disease, to keep on producing, continuously producing, and not to lose marketing opportunities. All right, so what did we do? And I'll keep the methods brief, but you're welcome to ask us more questions in the time for questioning. So for most of the scenarios, we used a social accounting matrix model. So we used a model from 2020, and we adapted it specifically to include beef and then offal and hides. So in other words, so if we were to manipulate these products, what will the effect be in the model? And then the model shows you, first of all, the direct effect. So the animals that you lose, the products that you lose initially. The indirect effects is either are you buying more inputs or less inputs? It depends on the scenario, of course. So it's your immediate, I call it input providers, how are they affected? And then your induced effect is the ripple effect that we spoke about throughout the value chain. So one of the things that it looks at is reduced income, GDP, it's one of them. But then also it could even be that you look at the employment opportunities and household income and institutional income. Then it's important to note that even though we estimate it and you get a specific percentage, it's not a prediction. We can't put our heads on a block to say, if we remove this number of cattle from the value chain, this will be the exact value or amount of money lost. It should rather be regarded as an indication of the magnitude of this problem that we are facing. Right. So for the 4 scenarios that we looked at for the RMIS, we sat down with them and they gave us guidance and said, but okay, let's first look at these 4 scenarios. We have a quarantine scenario, that's scenario 1, where we said, let's go and affect a feedlot and speak to the feedlots and ask them, if we have, for example, our first example was we affected 40,000 cattle in a feedlot. Yes, we have larger feedlots and smaller feedlots, but that's what we worked at for this scenario. To say, but these cattle cannot be slaughtered at the point they should have been slaughtered. There's like a time lag effect. What is the ripple effect? That's scenario 1. Then scenario 2, we spoke to these feedlots and abattoirs, and we asked them, but what are the additional costs that they are spending and the different kinds of problems that they ran into due to FMD? And we can talk about that a bit later. Then thirdly, the third scenario again used the same model to look at if we lose our export opportunities. And there specifically we focused on beef and then offal and hides that could not be exported. And then the fourth scenario, since many of the stud auctions were affected, cancelled and postponed, we also looked at that to try and estimate what the value, potential impact could be value-wise of FMD on the stud industry. Right, yeah, and so together these scenarios can give us an idea of the effect, the throughput efficiency and that FMD had on the larger value chain. So I'm going to jump straight into the results for scenario 1. So based on the assumption that the feedlot of 40,000 cattle are affected, we see that, or we estimate that the cattle industry, the GDP for the cattle industry, reduces by almost 1%. And there you can see that the direct effect is 0.4%, and then the indirect effect, and then the induced effect. So the induced effect is actually larger. So the value, the ripple effect through the outer economy is larger than the direct effect. So the initial, the cattle themselves that are affected or lost. If we then extrapolate it for the value of the whole agricultural space, it's that 0.28%. And if it's then extrapolated further to the national economy, you see it's at 0.008%. Right. Like we already said, we have delayed slaughterings, you have reduced abattoir throughputs, and this then affects your service providers, and then boils down to your labor income spending that's also affected. The key message from this slide is then these losses are not confined, not limited to your quarantine animal. There's a big shock traveling throughout the system. If I can just quickly mention some of the other results that we found, we, for example, found that the job opportunities in the cattle industry could be affected by roughly 7%. So the direct effect is about 4%, and then the induced effect is 2.8%, so throughout the system again. Then if we look at, for example, the household income, that could be reduced by about 12% for the households involved in the cattle industry due to this scenario. Then scenario 2, so here we look at the higher intermediate cost associated with FMD. So it's all of the costs that the feedlots and abattoirs incurred for controlling FMD and after outbreak has been confirmed. So it's not preventing once the outbreak is being confirmed. So if I can first talk about some of the problems they mentioned. Yes, they mentioned a lot of problems. One of the big things is they had to feed these cattle a bit longer, like the previous presenter indicated, that during those first 6 weeks of a quarantine period of confirmed infection, they will lose a lot, for example, the offal, the head and the feet. And they indicated, these people that you spoke to, that they, as far as possible, try and avoid that. They only start slaughtering the cattle from 6 weeks onwards, so their losses will be limited. Not zero, but limited, where they will then only have to discard the head and feet. All right. That's one of them. The other thing is because these animals were fed longer, the feed efficiency reduced, and also they suspect, they can't confirm it yet, but they can suspect that due to FMD, the feed efficiency also reduced, and they ended up then with a larger carcass. This created a lot of problems in terms of processing. The carcasses were too heavy for the facilities, and they were too large for the cooling facilities. That then caused, for example, one of the problems is a larger percentage of darker cutters. So they were penalized for that. They were penalized for carcasses being too large. They had to hire more labor to move these carcasses around. They also implemented additional labor shifts because they now had to process more carcasses than what they would have wanted. They were vaccinating. They were spending a hell of a lot of money on biosecurity measures, getting trucks, transport, the equipment that the personnel are wearing inside these plants, getting it cleaned enough. Then they also spoke about some emergency cullings, where, for example, they had one of the feedlots that we spoke to had a number of animals where their hoofs came off and stuff like that. So they had to cull those animals earlier. And then they spoke about hide sales. So they couldn't sell hides for a long period of time. So that processing facility, processing these hides, was also affected. And there's a number of jobs that could potentially also be affected as a result of that. Yes, and for example, offal, we spoke about that, and the carcass quality. So we asked them if it's possible to calculate what's the additional cost that they spent on an animal that is affected by FMD, and they came back and said, but it's roughly that value you see there, about 6,570 Rand per animal that is affected, that's costing them. So that cost is then consists of some overheads costs, because they have to keep this animal in the feedlot for a longer period of time. They can't just close the operation. They have to feed them longer. And also, once the animals are then removed, they have to keep the facility vacant just before the next cycle could come in. There's certain percentage of that value is also the feeding cost, additional feeding cost, and then the different discounts that they experienced due to for example, the darker cutters and the heavier carcasses that they were supplying. If we were to apply that value to our example of 40,000 cattle, is that 262 million Rand that is in effect. All right, so just again here, the industry messages, the mortality is only part of the cost. There's all of these hidden costs that should also be taken note of. If we apply that to the greater cattle industry, we see that it boils down to a reduction in their output or revenue of almost 0.8%. And again, if we translate that into a value for agriculture, is 0.23%. So a reduction as a result of this increase in spending in additional costs. All right. Like we said earlier, they can't just close their business. They have to keep on operating. You can't just, the cattle are still there. You're not operating any other kind of business that doesn't have biological assets. You have to keep them. And of course, many of these facilities, feedlots and abattoirs, they continuously have to keep on moving. So they lose a lot of money very quickly, and it places strain on their profit margins. All right, then scenario 3, we applied to our SAM, where we said, okay, let's remove beef exports along with offal and hides. And so effectively what was removed is 6.8% of the value of beef that was removed from our model. So, and then the result that we got is a reduction of 0.8% to the value of the cattle industry. Just to allude to some of the specific results that we found, like you see there, household incomes, households that are involved in the cattle industry, their income could potentially reduce by just more than 13%. If you look at, for example, labor in the cattle industry, about 7% of them could also be affected. Right. Yes, and then like you see there at the bottom, although you might think that offal and hides is not the big thing, for interest sake, those of you who are wondering, the beef part of these exports represented almost 6%, where then offal and hides made up the rest, with the majority of that value is assigned to offal. Although you might think that offal and hides is very small, could be ignored, it actually has a large effect, again, throughout the ripple effect of our market value chain. Right. Scenario 4 looks specifically at our stud auction industry. So there, what we did is we first have to go and estimate what is the value, how many animals are sold annually, and what is the value of these animals that's sold. So we looked there, we used information in the public domain, that's where stud auctions are recorded. We looked at the values for 12 months. There you see the dates. And we saw that about 9,000 animals, just more than 9,000 animals were sold during that period of time at a value of just more than 600 million rand. As far as we could estimate, these sales represent about two-thirds of all the stud animal sales in the country. If we then were to extrapolate that to get to a total for the whole country, we estimate that about 14,000 stud cattle are sold annually at a value of 910 million. All right, so about half of that, numbers-wise, is bulls and female animals, stud female animals. We ignored commercial for now. Represents a lot. The rest, with the largest value, part of that value is then assigned to stud bulls, which makes sense. So now the question is, if stud auctions were to be cancelled due to FMD, what would the potential impact be? Well, it's not that simple to answer. If we cancel all the stud auctions, there you see the estimated value of 900 million rand. But the bigger thing is, if you look at the stud auction industry in SA, there's a seasonality about it. If we look at other research that we've done, you see that stud auctions, or specifically the bull sales, is focused between July and October each year. So it depends on what time of the year this FMD would have affected the stud industry. And of course, it doesn't affect the whole country necessarily at once, so it makes it a bit tricky. But a good indication is that if we were to have FMD outbreaks on stud farms during this crucial period of time between, let's say, July and September, the impact would be significant. Now, we know that these animals might not be slaughtered necessarily. Their marketing channels might just differ. But again, remember the other role players, the auction houses, the people catering for these auctions, the accommodation that they would have booked to visit these auctions are now affected. Okay. All right. I think one of the crucial things about the report that we found is that one outbreak, there's a whole bunch of different channels how FMD can affect the larger cattle industry. It's the economic problem is systematic. If we change one decision or one control decision at a specific point of time, there's a ripple effect. It affects employment, it can affect trade and spending throughout the value chain. Then some of the takeaways, it's not KFC takeaways, just as a light moment. So first of all, FMD, the cost of that, the economic cost, extends far beyond only the infected animals. So we spoke about the direct, the induced, and the indirect, and you saw that in most cases, the indirect effect is the larger part of it. All right, so it's important to measure the value of FMD, not only the direct one, but all the other parts as well. Continuity must be ensured. So we must put plans in place to ensure that our market is not affected by FMD. And I know it's easier said than done, and I know we are busy with it. But I think it's very important that we design these strategies together. So, and we are doing it in most cases, but that's one of the crucial things that we think should be done. And then the timing. So, for example, if we look at estimating the cost of the different scenarios, the timing. So which months, for example, in the stud industry, how large the effect would have been. And if we look at, for example, the beef industry at feedlot level, we have times of the year when larger numbers of animals are sold, so that could also affect the value. If you not only remove the whole year or specific percentage, the timing of that scenario could or would be very important. Then prevention of FMD could be seen as an economic investment. So like we said, we should put plans in place to ensure that we can continue producing, delivering to our markets, and if possible, continue exporting to all of our markets. All right. Yeah, like I said, I see I'm a bit over my time. We should try and control the disease as far as possible, ensure that we try and protect our value chain as good as possible. Thank you.